Hello, Arlington, and welcome to the second engagement for the Athletic Field Availability and Utilization Project. Thank you for your interest in helping Arlington County develop a system to measure how fields are utilized and opportunities to use those spaces more efficiently. My name is Adam Siegelmoss, and I will walk you through this engagement today. Here's the agenda for this presentation. I'll go over the project purpose and background, review examples of athletic field utilization and draft framework, and we'll provide some examples. Finally, we will review drop-in field use and new proposed updates with how drop-in is managed in Arlington. After this presentation, you'll have an opportunity to share your thoughts, and we look forward to hearing from you. The goal of this project is to develop a field availability framework that enables consistent evaluation of field utilization. Through this engagement, we want to hear your feedback on the draft framework itself and the new approach to drop-in use on athletic fields. Before we jump in, let's take a quick look here at the timeline of the project. The Public Spaces Master Plan, or the PSMP, was approved in 2019. Later that year, the idea of athletic field availability and utilization was first introduced into the Public Spaces Master Plan Implementation Advisory Committee, or the PSMP-IAC. And after feedback from the PSMP-IAC, the Department of Parks and Recreation further defined availability and posted the first online public engagement in the winter of 2021. After reviewing and analyzing the results, DPR, or the Department of Parks and Recreation, returned to the PSMP-IAC in the fall of 2021 and reviewed the draft framework for athletic field utilization. This brings us to today, our second online public engagement. After receiving your valued feedback on the draft framework, a final version will be developed and presented to the PSMP-IAC with an expected completion date by winter 2024. As mentioned in the last slide, this project is driven by the Public Spaces Master Plan, focused on Priority Action 4, 1.2.5, to analyze athletic field utilization, to improve data on the current use and assess future athletic field needs. All right, so now let's detail a few terms that you'll hear throughout this presentation. Please do refer back to these as you review the updated framework. First, athletic field allocation. At the top here, this is the total amount of hours assigned per field per season. This includes all scheduled use. Second is athletic field availability. This is the hours athletic fields can be accessed incorporating field scheduling variables. And then there are the field scheduling variables. There are 5 sets of variables that impact the hours fields are available. And we will review these variables in detail later in the presentation, but quickly to touch on them. They are participant age, field size, field amenities, total weeks per season, as well as start and end times. And the final term is field utilization, which is actually more of an equation. Field utilization is determined by dividing athletic field availability, better understood as available hours, by the athletic field allocation, or the total amount of hours allocated per field per season. In the first engagement, over 100 Arlingtonians shared their input and their comments focused on 3 main areas: drop-in field use, what should the start times be on athletic fields, and what should the end times be on athletic fields. The full list of feedback results are available on the project page. You can also visit by selecting the link on this page. These results were used to help the project team to define appropriate start and end times, one set of the variables that help us develop our availability. All right, so let's go ahead and move into the athletic field availability. What is the athletic field availability draft framework? Glad you asked. The framework for the availability includes criteria and field scheduling variables. Based on these two categories, a total number of hours is determined for use per season in the spring and the fall. Hours that athletic fields are available is based on the field scheduling variables. Not all fields have the same amenities, built the same size, and even serve the same age of participants. Amenities such as lights indicate when a field can be used, as with a field without lights has end times that vary by month and even more so by season. Finally, while the start times do not change by season, the start times do vary by day of the week. All right, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at the proposed variables that determine availability. Based on the following variables, the draft framework for availability has been determined, and these outline and create the total number of hours that are available per season. Looking at the upper left here, the spring and fall seasons vary in length. In the spring, there are 13 weeks in the season, and in the fall, there are 11 weeks. The length of seasons are often based on national governing bodies that leagues participate in and are required to follow. In the bottom left here, moving on to activity end times on lighted fields, in conjunction with the feedback received in the first engagement, a set of end times on lighted fields was developed that is based on player age. These end times do not vary by season since the lights give it more consistency. Moving on to activity start times, the start times identified vary by day, but are consistent throughout the year and are applicable to all fields regardless of their amenities. On weekdays, because kids are at school and many parents are working, it was determined that a 5 p.m. start time is appropriate. On Saturdays, an 8 a.m. start time, and on Sundays, a 9 a.m. start time. Moving on to activity end times on unlit fields. The end times vary due to sunset and daylight saving time. These fields have the largest variance between season. In the spring, when the sunset is much later, there are more available hours. And in the fall, daylight savings typically occurs the first week of November, and sunset is before 5 p.m. Please note that there is a change with the fall end times as they have been adjusted to better reflect a more accurate end time in September and October. And now we are moving on to athletic field utilization. Now that we have defined what the available hours can be, we've developed the athletic field utilization. The process of developing athletic field utilization is a continuous cycle, which is why you see the arrows in this diagram. Step 1 is to determine availability. As discussed in previous slides, the total number of hours fields are available per use per season in the spring and fall are based on the athletic field availability framework. Step 2 is to schedule and reserve fields. Fields are permitted for use based on allocation guidelines and user requests. Step 3 is to calculate field utilization. This is the annual comparison of athletic field reservations divided by the athletic field availability. And lastly, step 4 is the confirmation of the field utilization. Using real-time data and technology to compare actual versus reserve field use, this will inform future availability and drop-in opportunities. Confirmation of the field utilization and a pilot project will be discussed shortly in this presentation. Now that we are able to create the field utilization, in the next couple of slides we're going to review illustrative snapshots. These snapshots show how these criteria inform decisions and availability visually. These fields all vary in variables, thus resulting in different availability. So starting with Barcroft number 1, I'm going to walk you through the different elements of the snapshot. In the bottom left, you can see this is a youth-only field, has lights and natural grass, as well as a diamond field, and it is permit only, preferred for 12 and younger. On the bar charts on the right, you'll notice the red box. This means that there were more scheduled hours than total available hours. How does this happen? It happens due to high demand. Hours may be scheduled beyond the hours that are allocated or available. For example, the end times of 14 and under is 9 p.m. on lighted fields, but due to demand, leagues may go somewhat beyond those hours to fit programs in. On the fall bar chart here, there may be an opportunity for other scheduled uses at this field. Fall is the secondary season for this field, and there may be other opportunities for flag football or other sports. This type of snapshot really allows staff and the community to see these differences at a high level. And so lastly, you'll see the utilization rate, which is the combination of fall and spring season usage. As previously mentioned, that is the total scheduled hours divided by the total number of hours per season. Here is another example. This time we're looking at Boeing Field number 3 at Longbridge Park. This is a permit takes priority field that is available to adults and youth. It has lights on synthetic surface with rectangular fields. Between these two seasons, you can notice that there are more available hours than scheduled here, but the delta for both are somewhat small. Our third example is Virginia Highlands number 3. This is an interesting example because it compares an adult and youth field that has lights, but it has a light curfew at 10 p.m. The hours are shorter compared to Boeing Field number 3 that also has lights. And this is a permit takes priority location as well, with natural grass surface and a diamond field. The spring hours show a possible opportunity at this site, and overall the utilization between fall and spring lands at about 82%. And one last example here is Alcova Heights. Although this is a permit takes priority field and preferred for 8 and under, and it is an unlit field, it has a lower utilization rate, but is not suitable for 9 and older and generally older kids. It has a lower rate, but allows for it to be used for other drop-in activities or scheduled programs. This field serves as a resource for the community and leagues for the narrow ages and play that it can accommodate. It is important for T-ball and younger kids to have access to when needed. Determining field utilization gives us a snapshot of use, but without context, it may be hard to determine why some fields have different utilization rates. Field type and amenities are major factors to field utilization, but to help contextualize it, below are some scheduling caveats that impact field use. DPR will cancel reservations due to field closures. Another example, a small field only suitable for 8-year-olds and younger may be reservable until 8 p.m., but it is not likely to be booked that late. While an agreed upon start time for fields on Sundays is 9 a.m., a program or organization may need to book space earlier to accommodate the program, event, or activity. To be consistent, we are using start and end times based on field amenities. However, if a group needs to use fields up to 30 minutes before a field end time, no one will book after it for just 30 minutes, leaving a gap in use. And lastly, most 18 and under fields, like high schools, have use that ends at 10 p.m., so some adult programs may extend use at a given location. Staff will be annually compiling utilization rates to track and improve efficiency, to maximize field use and ensure fields are used as allocated. Technological solutions are being explored as a pilot project on select fields to allow for digital check-ins and verify use of scheduling times. As part of developing field utilization, It will help us know how to use fields better for drop-in. This was a part of the first engagement and helped staff to identify next steps moving forward for community drop-in needs, as identified here in these next few slides. Here we're looking at the history of drop-in field use over time. Historically, DPR has designated certain athletic fields as drop-in fields, which means that some nights of the week are left unscheduled and remain open for community use. Due to demand, though, for fields, these fields are occasionally scheduled for organized activities, but rarely. The full inventory of currently designated drop-in fields are noted here. And you can see in the second box there was an expression from the community for more drop-in times, and additional fields were added. A next step here in this third box is to eliminate the drop-in only fields and change to permit takes priority. This will allow DPR to discontinue the community use drop-in designation of fields, and means that only 2 field designations will be permit only or permit takes priority, which will enable more drop-in play opportunities across the county and streamline the language. So going through the updated terminology, unscheduled open field time is the field time available for anyone's use when there is no scheduled or reserved time for athletic activities. This doesn't count toward a field's utilization. But moving forward, new scheduled community time, or field time throughout the county that DPR schedules to protect field time for anyone's usage, does count toward the field utilization. And lastly, new scheduled community sports times. These are field times that DPR schedules or reserves specifically for drop-in sports, like soccer, field hockey, and others, does count toward field utilization. So this concludes our presentation of the Athletic Field Availability and Utilization Project. Now let's talk about engagement. Now we look forward to your feedback and input on the Athletic Field Availability Framework and the new approach to drop-in time on athletic fields. Please take the questionnaire below, and don't forget to visit the project page for more information and to sign up for email updates. Thank you, and have a great day.